GM.
GM.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Wow, I love your background though.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, then the voice is okay, and I think the community is start to come.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let me have a quick intro to our community. So, hello everyone. Welcome to workshop number 4 of our series. So, it's my first time here, by the way. So, for those I haven't met yet, my name is Lavi, and I recently joined Super Team Vietnam as Grow Lead, and I'm really happy to finally say hi to the Solana Builders community in Vietnam. And I hope we will have many exciting events and probably gonna see each other in the upcoming time to build something pretty cool. Even though the market at the moment is a little bit quiet, but I think it's still also a good time to slow down a little bit, stay focused, and keep learning. And for that, today we are talking about Solana Founder Playbook, and I'm really excited to have Omi Omai, founder of Keyzen.io, joining us today. So he has been building in the Solana ecosystem for over 5 years and has worked across products, media, community, and ecosystem growth. So, hi, Omi Omai. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. So, can
My
you
absolute
have
pleasure.
a quick intro to the super team community in Vietnam? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So yes, my team has been around since day one of Solana. We actually did launch Solarians, which was the first and I guess on-chain generative NFTs for Solana back in April 2021. We also launched the first open NFT marketplace called Digital Eyes. This was in August 2021, and it was very successful. I think in the first 2 months, we hit over $100 million in trading volume. In 2022, I decided to take a step back and try and focus on the two biggest problems that we've always found Solana to have, right? I mean, discovery and education. Imagine like back in the day, I guess navigating Solana was pretty much just focusing on your wallet, your trading, your NFTs. But today, there's so much other stuff, right? RWAs, you have DeFi, prediction markets, you have, the learning curve is basically getting steeper and steeper. So we do whatever we can to try and help solve discovery and onboarding as well. And this year itself, we started to branch out and try and support founders. So that's why we're doing more and more founder workshops now. And today we're really excited to share with you our founder playbook, which is based off of our team's own experience being in the space for the last 5 years, as well as, through our 200 interviews with all these Solana projects and founders as well. So it's a lot of content into one hour session. So bear with me if my pace is a little bit fast. But yeah, excited to take this away.
Yeah, thank you. I have checked the your platform is like a full of package of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can see like is a very uh, fulfilling content for Solana builders because I've seen founder resources, founder programs, grant, also media platform as well. Is a very structural how say UI UX that
Yep.
for just Solana users they can just go and explore on your platform and also for founder as well. And I think it's gonna be a lot of content today.
Yes.
So I really hope that you can cover maybe as much as possible for this section. But
Yep.
for the for the community in Vietnam, if you guys really want to have an overview of the platform, you guys can just come to keyzen.io to understand the product ideas of what Omi is cooking for the founders in the Solana ecosystem. So I will give the stage back to you, Omi Omai, for your section today. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Can I just check if I'm lagging on the camera?
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Perfect.
You look
All right.
good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me try and share my screen here. Share screen. Okay. Okay. If you could let me bring up the screen, it'll be great. Beautiful. Okay, yes. So today's topic is the Solana Founder Playbook. As I mentioned, this is based off of our team's, experience in the last 5 years of launching, NFT project, NFT marketplace, as well as Kaizen, the platform itself, and many of the, smaller tools that we have. These are practical frameworks for launching, growing, and earning trust in the Solana ecosystem. Hang on. Yes, and who this is for any founders that are preparing to launch, hackathon teams that are turning your projects into startups after the hackathon, early teams that are looking for users and tractions, as well as builders that are learning how to navigate this ecosystem. So what it really is about is actually focusing on the struggles that Solana founders usually face. These are usually clarity, distribution, trust, incentives, operations, product reliability, as well as ecosystem navigation, right? Because in Solana, great products do not grow from product alone. It's really a mashup of all these different factors. And today we will try and touch a little bit about each of them and kind of, I guess, demonstrate how you can go about trying to bolster them for your project and team. So common founder traps that we always see is that founders usually try and build before understanding and clarifying who the product is actually for. They usually launch before they actually build context, for their communities. They usually try and optimize incentives before understanding behavior. And this, especially on this one, we'll go deeper into it. But think about how many projects that launch NFTs and tokens where that in itself is a product and instead of their own protocol, right? Chasing attention instead of traction is a very interesting one as well. Something like asking the ecosystem for help before actually earning the trust. This is probably, I think, a huge problem for founders, for new founders in the ecosystem. And the last one is treating security as only an engineering problem. So we're trying to help you guys understand these traps and try to avoid them before they become expensive and detrimental to your project. So what we want to leave you with today is 4 things. Number 1, ideally you can get a sharper 10-second pitch. Number 2, a clearer launch arc, which is pre-launch, the launch, and post-launch. Number 3 is a practical trust checklist, and lastly, a founder resource map as well. And the way we were splitting this whole workshop and the slides itself is in 4 parts. Number 1 is Solana Founder Essentials, where specifically we will touch on all the factors that help you to create momentum for your project. Number 2 is founder operating skills, where a lot of these things will help you to build sustainably for the long run. Number 3 is the app trust stack, which is focusing on how to build products that users can trust, identifying all the different components, all different aspects of your app that is super critical to your project. And lastly, the Solana Founder Resource Map, where you can find ecosystem support. And literally, actually just now mentioned, Levi actually mentioned just now that she saw Solana Founder resources on our platform. This is super exciting because we literally only just released it yesterday. Those 3 new tools, we haven't announced it yet. So we'll actually do a preview of that later on the show as well. Okay, so part 1, Solana Founder Essentials, how to create momentum. There's basically 5 big factors we're going to touch on. Number 1 is clarity, distribution, community, credibility, as well as relationships. So in terms of product clarity, people should understand your project before deciding whether they like it. And you really, really need to explain these 5 things, right? What is your project? Who is it for? What problem it solves? Why you chose Solana? Like, why is Solana so critical in this picture? And why now? Why is now the best time to, launch a product, and why users should use a product now, right? And ideally, you can actually answer all these questions in basically 10 seconds, right? Because there's so many projects out there, and users usually don't really, give you more than 10 seconds to explain your project. So this one is critical. I would highly suggest anyone watching this to take a screenshot of it. A simple positioning formula that we came up with is, we help what kind of users do what kind of job by, what kind of advantage your project has, right? So your project should be explainable before it is impressive. So a few examples we give here is this, right? We help Solana traders track wallet risk in one dashboard, right? Very clear and simple, right? People can straight away understand what you're trying to do and, who is it for, right? Solana traders. The second example is we help NFT creators launch loyalty programs without custom code, right? Again, very, very important. Who are you trying to help? NFT creators. What are you trying to do? Launch loyalty programs. And what is the advantage here, right? Having no custom code, right? And the last example is we help consumer apps add crypto payments without exposing users to wallet complexity. So these are 3 good examples. You want to be we see a common trap that most founders or actually marketing teams actually fall into is they try to be very impressive. They try to be quite vague, like this is a good example, right? We are building a DeFi tool on Solana. Usually it's a bit more specific than that, but it's usually as vague as this as well. So what we want to do is translate this into something very, very specific, right? We help active Solana traders monitor wallet risk and portfolio exposure in one dashboard straight away. It literally took 3 seconds, and people understand what exactly you're trying to do here. So, this is usually for our in real life workshops, but if you want, do take the time, to actually craft your 10-second pitch. I think is very, very important. So again, who is it for? What urgent job they trying to do, or what common problem they usually have, and why is your approach meaningfully better, right? And I think this is key, right? If your users cannot repeat your pitch, then they cannot spread it. If they cannot understand it in 10 seconds, I think your product is just way too complicated. Next one, we're going to GTM and distribution. So the thing you have to focus on is that a launch is not a tweet, but rather a coordinated sequence, right? It's all these factors that go into play here, right? Who are you trying to reach? Why would they actually care about what you're trying to do? What action do you want specifically from these users? Which channels are able to reach the users that you are trying to reach? What proof makes you a credible and trustworthy party? And what happens after launch? So all 6 of these are at the bare minimum that you guys need to have an internal discussion about and formulate, strategies for this go-to-market strategy. Yeah. So the launch arc is typically in 3 phases. The pre-launch, where you try and build context and anticipation. The launch itself, where you create one very clear conversion moment. And the post-launch itself, where you extend the momentum from the launch with all your proof, feedback, and updates, right? So this is phase by phase. Every phase fits into the next one. So a bit deeper here. So this is again another exercise, but some questions you can ask yourself about pre-launch is, what belief or context must users have? And this should be quite simple, because your project, your protocol should ideally be solving a common problem, right? Or something that is easy, a problem that's easy to understand, either of them, right? Ideally both, right? So number 2 is who needs to hear about this before launch. So before you launch, don't try and do a shadow launch, or don't try to just expect that, we've built something very cool, we're just gonna launch with a tweet, and we're gonna boost it and hopefully get 1 million views. It's not gonna work that way, right? Before the launch itself, you need to spend weeks trying to reach out to the communities, reach out to the target user groups, and try and get some feedback, and kind of tease what you're building, and maybe have closed beta sessions, and slowly work your way up towards the launch itself. And then post-launch, what update keeps momentum alive, and what feedback will you collect? So these 2 are very critical, and we will go into a bit deeper into that as well. Regarding community and incentives, users are not just users, right? In the Web2 world, your users can become holders, like token and NFT holders. They can become testers, they can become contributors, creators, liquidity providers, ambassadors, evangelists, right? There's a lot of different roles that users can be simultaneously, right? And what you want to do when you design, incentives, is to try and ensure that your incentives are encouraging real participants and not just getting farmers that are just going to leave right after your launch, right? You want to try and create a sustainable model, a sustainable incentive program where, these people, the people who are aligned very much with your vision and mission, come in, and they are prepared to help you, they are equipped to help you, and they want to help you, right, for the long haul. So in this case, the best way is to reward the behavior that you actually want. So, you kind of have to understand very intrinsically, your whole team, what exactly do you want your users to be doing, or your farm, your champions, right? You want them to try the product, you want to return weekly, you want them to be referring quality users, providing feedback, creating content, whole long term, build on top of you. You need to have very, very clear goals here. And then you need to set very, very clear KPIs. And then, with your KPIs and your goals, you kind of design strategies and your battle plan, your game plans to how you're going to achieve those KPIs. Yeah. In terms of execution, it is really very, very critical in helping you build credibility in the space. And the only way you can do that is through repeated evidence, right? So it's not like shipping consistently is the first piece of the puzzle. But it doesn't matter how much you ship if you're not communicating it clearly, right? And showing real progress. And community always appreciate it if you can listen to feedback. And whenever they have problems, you can handle it very transparently. And any promises that you make, you need to honestly need to keep. So never ever try to make promises you can't keep, right? Because that just ultimately breaks trust. And when trust is broken, users are going to leave and never coming back, right? So build a public progress rhythm. This one as well, highly recommend you guys to take a screenshot of it. Every 1 to 2 weeks post launch, what you want to do is have these 5 updates, ideally in one single tweet or thread. It should cover these 5 things. What went live, what do you ship, right? The second one, and what improved about your product or your protocol or your team. Number 3 is what you guys learned, right, based on user feedback. Number 4 is what you adjusted, what you changed. And number 5 is what's coming next. So ideally, every 1 to 2 weeks, post an update, to communicate very clearly these 5 things. These 5 things are what users want. And if you're this transparent, if you're this consistent, then that just, helps to create a lot of trust and credibility for your project and your team. Okay, in terms of ecosystem access, you got to understand that Solana is not just a blockchain infrastructure, right? It is a network of many parties, including builders, users, communities, investors, media, regional hubs, wallets and protocols, and grant accelerators. The common trap is that users enter the ecosystem and straight away start demanding something, or they only come and visit and participate only when they need something, right? And the community is very tightly on Solana, right? We see through this, right? So you need to kind of contribute and, over the long term, then that kind of help and contributions will be reciprocated. So this is what we kind of developed, the ecosystem ask ladder. So it's kind of like a tiered system of what you can pretty much ask from the community when you get started. So usually you start at the base level, feedback, right? You just, jump into communities and, talk about your project and, ask for some feedback first. Once you've built a slightly better relationship, especially in those focused groups, you can start asking for advice, in any especially founder groups, right? Like Monkey DAO or Super Team or, Lucid Drakes, like start asking for advice, hey, I'm facing this friction here, I'm facing this bottleneck there. People are usually quite happy to give you advice. And once you've developed that, tier 1, tier 2 feedback and advice kind of level of trust and credibility, then you can start asking for intros, right? Hey, can you introduce me to this other project or to this other lead or to this other organization, hoping to do a collaboration and stuff like that, which goes into the tier 4 collaborations. And then it goes to amplification, and then last but not least, funding or strategic support. Like imagine if you're the first time joining a community and you go in there and straight away ask that, hey, we are doing a seed raise, of $2 million, it's gonna be a soft range agreement, blah blah blah, and people are just gonna be like, okay, this is a scam. You know what I mean? You can't just like leapfrog and jump straight into it, right? You gotta build a relationship with the ecosystem. All right, part 2 of this workshop is on founder operating skills, which focuses mainly on how to build sustainably. And these are the 6 key factors here, right? Capital, business model, tokens and NFTs, security and governance, metrics, and legal operations. So in terms of capital, funding and business model strategy, you got to understand that capital is not the goal, but rather a tool to help you reach the next proof point. So these are 4 questions that are obviously very customized to your specific situation. But 4 questions to ask yourself is, what milestone are you exactly funding? Who is paying and why? Why should they be the ones paying? Are your users and customers the same? Because a lot of time, yes, they probably would be the same, but in a lot of situations as well, especially in Web3, they may not be the same, right? So, for example, like a lot of data analytics platform, not Kaizen because we are a pure public good project, but a lot of data analytics platform, they may use the main users may be the main like marketing reach and community, but the actual customers, the paying ones, could be other protocols that are paying to use their data as a service, right? So again, their users and customers might not entirely be always 100% the same? And the last one is, do we need grants, angels, VCs, revenue, or strategic partners? And I mean, a lot of times these are nice to have, but if you don't really need it at this stage in your project, like, it's going to be a huge waste of time and resources if you were to go and pursue them anyway, right? So usually when you go into, when you think about funding and business models, you need to be very, I guess, genuinely honest about yourself, your team, your project, as well as your situation, and decide like what, at what levels, at what milestones, before you guys decide to go for which kind of funding and stuff. Okay, in terms of token and NFT economics, this is something that we saw a lot in the past and much less now. So that's a good thing, where a lot of protocols kind of have the NFT and tokens so significant in their protocol that in itself became the product, right? Instead of the actual services and products that they provide on the platforms, right? So ideally, these things, tokens and NFTs, should strengthen the system, should strengthen your organization and not replace. So when you design these as, I guess, incentive campaigns or systems, think about what behavior does it coordinate and incentivize, right? Why people would hold it. So it could be utility, it could be governance, it could be flexing, it could be, it could be a myriad of reasons, but you need to be very, very clear on what those reasons are, right? Number 3 is, what demand exists beyond speculation for these NFTs and tokens. And number 4 is, the tokenomics, right? How does the supply, the unlocks, and liquidity work? So the biggest trick here to master is trying to help users and holders stay very aligned with each other. And there's a long list of protocols who have failed. I mean, I think you can pretty much say 99% of protocols have failed to balance that fine line. The moment the token doesn't really sustain its value, then people start leaving, right? Or start dumping it. And yeah, the projects just die because their tokens don't do well. So you don't really want to get into that situation. In terms of security, governance, and user trust, you need to understand that security is not just technical, it's not just on the developers, because this is a founder level trust issue. Even if a non-technical founder, this must be front of mind, not back of mind. Things like audits and testing, admin keys, upgrade authority, treasury controls, wallet permissions, transaction signing risk, phishing risk, incident response, all these, even for non-technical founders, you must be very cognizant of them. You must understand them. You must agree with your technical founder, your co-founder, and have all this in place, right? Because we all know, right, the moment a security breach happens, most of the time it means the demise of the project. So these are things that I know is very stressful. I know they are very significant problems that you have to tackle them as early as possible, especially in this day and age where a lot of developers are using a lot of AI coding and stuff that and it's completely fine to build a bulk of your, I guess, your protocol and your product using AI, but these 8 things AI cannot replace, right? Your I guess your expectation for having frequent or frequent enough audits and testing, the way you manage your admin keys, the way you manage your upgrade authority, like these are things that, whether or not you build a product with AI, you definitely need to focus on these. In terms of metric and feedback, this is one of my favorite slides. So these are the 5 levels of, I guess, user feedback that your team needs to be very clear and kind of categorize and classify accordingly. And it also goes into what you guys are, I guess, looking for, targeting, what the goals of every marketing or platform activity is, and help you create KPIs as well, right? So the most superficial level of anything that you do, I would say let's use like let's use a few specific examples. So awareness, the easy way to think about it is like your Twitter account, right? So how widely aware is the Solana community of your project and product, right? You could base it on views, followers, and impressions, but that is all it is, right? That they know about your product, right? What you want to do is try and get all these followers and viewers and people that have seen and aware of your project into the next level, which is activation, right? And this you can kind of track using signups, right? Platform signups or even newsletter signups, wallet connects, the first actions that you want them to take on your project, right? It could be a profile creation, it could be anything, to be honest, as long as the activity that they have to do, not just passively, oh, I saw this brand, right? And the third one, after you get people to activate, after getting to activate and actually do these signups and stuff, you wanted to repeatedly use it, right? So that is where engagement comes in, and that's a very strong place with it. If you have high engagement, that's actually a very strong position to be in, especially for an early project. But then you want them to promote into retention. And retention is the key, right? And this is the biggest difference between having NFTs and tokens. Where retention, the difference between that and engagement is that people are returning and repeatedly using without incentives. And that is, I think, the clearest telltale sign that your product, your team's onto something, right? That if people are actually using your product repeatedly without you having to give them tokens or participate in these draws or contests, I think that really shows that you have very strong PMF, right? And the last one obviously is value, and this is the ultimate goal, right? To have people actually paying you in fees or monthly fees or transaction fees, but basically revenue, volume, liquidity, fees and referrals, like these 5 things. That is the ultimate goal. But don't assume and take it for granted that straight away when you launch you're going to get value. Doesn't work that way, right? You have to build through this funnel. I mean, a lot of times you might have concurrent strategies and campaigns that tackle more than one, but this is kind of like the user funnel, right? Where you go from awareness to activation to engagement to retention and then to value. One thing that we always see people or founders do when they ask for feedback is, do you like it? What do you like about it? And very generic questions, which is just incredibly pointless because what you're gonna get is like, oh yeah, it looks good, feels good, it's fast, feels fast, looks cool. Like if you're gonna ask generic questions, then you're gonna get very generic answers that are not gonna be helpful, right? It's kind of like asking for the sake of asking, right? So try and ask very specific targeted questions, right? And try to make it a conversation. So, specific questions like, what exactly confused you when trying to do this transaction, right? Or trying to navigate to this page, or trying to figure out, or trying to get more information, like what activity at what point you felt there's some confusion, or you felt that that maybe too many clicks, too many scrolling. Like, be very specific with your questions. What would make you use this weekly? That I think is a very, very important question. Like, what could make you come back every single day, right? What will you be disappointed to lose? This one's very interesting because it tells you where your resources should be dedicated more towards to. And the last one is, what do you expect to happen? Which I think is a very interesting question as well, right? Like, especially if they say things like, oh, I was actually surprised, or it was above expectations. Then you can dive deeper into what do you actually expect to happen. Maybe they'll bring up examples of like your competitors, or maybe they thought that there'll be a more intuitive user experience for some specific actions. Yeah. So always ask better questions so that you can get better feedback to make better product decisions. Yeah. In terms of legal and operational readiness, you need to move fast but be careful with decisions that create long-term obligations. So a lot of these things here, I mean, it depends on your stage of a project, right? If you just want a hackathon, you're not really a company yet, you can start to slowly not very slowly, I guess you should take a very significant effort to start ironing out a lot of these things. Earlier is always better. Things like company structure, founder agreements, token issuance if you want to launch a token, fundraising documents if you are prepared to start fundraising in the next half a year. But things like user terms and disclosures, treasury and accounting, custody yield payments, and gaming RWA or rewards, like all this stuff, try to get it out of the way and prepared as early as possible. One tip I'll let you know on is that I've personally spoken to compliance advisors all over the world, right? And we have incorporated a few companies in different jurisdictions, and before we even do any of that, we always go to countries and check out who are the top compliance advisors or organizations, and have like consultations with them. So one tip is this, that I mean, especially for the younger founders, the newer founders, don't overthink it. Just literally all these compliance advisors and legal and law firms, right? They literally, almost all of them have like a contact form there, right? They just put your name, your email, and then ask a question, right? Most of them will give you a 1 hour free call, right? And they will just like assess the situation and tell you how they can help you, right? They're not gonna charge for you for it, and there should be zero reason to be hesitant about this, right? Those calls are free. Take as many as you of those calls that you can. Learn as much as you can about compliance, because as we come into a time where there are a lot of, I mean, things are going well in terms of regulation. I think, I mean, beyond outside of like the Clarity Act being delayed, but other than that, we are moving into finally a generation of crypto or Web3 where it's a lot more focused in the compliance side. So things are very fast moving, and something that you do today may not be compliant tomorrow, and that could literally spell the end of. I mean, worst case, it spells the end of your project, right? You can't operate in that way anymore, and if you can't operate in that way, your whole project is dead. Or at best case scenario is that your well, I won't say best case scenario, but it could mean that the way that you designed it initially would have to change. It will cost a lot more time and money and dev resources to change to fit within it. Obviously, the best case scenario is that suddenly some of the stuff that you're working on, which was in a gray zone, has become fully compliant. So it's always good to kind of have be ahead of these sort of things and take those free calls. Okay, part 3, my favorite one, the app trust stack. So how to build products that users can trust. With this one, I kind of went back to the drawing board and tried to think about like what are all the different aspects when it comes to building out your app, right? And I think that the 8 most critical aspects, and this is in sequence, right? It's not like, oh, these are 8 equally important stuff. No, this is in sequence. The first one being security and user safety. The second one being correctness and data integrity. The third one being reliability and availability. The fourth one being recoverability and support. Then you have UX and comprehension, speed and responsiveness, observability, and then scalability and maintainability. So we'll go a bit deeper here. The priority order, right? So number 1, as I mentioned, they're in sequence. The absolute must-have, right, is number 1 by a long shot is security, right? Users are protected, right? The moment, as I mentioned, if you get hacked or if there is any, even like, personal details were unfortunately released, blah, 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 usually spells doom for the entire project, right? Everything you have worked up to that point, could be years of work, all gone down the drain. So security is number 1. Number 2 is correctness, right? The app must always show the truth, especially for data analytics. For us, right, my team's consensus is always that it is better to not show data than to show wrong data, right? So I think this is particularly true for all apps, right? So maybe a DeFi protocol. Imagine that if you're a user using a DeFi protocol and it could be a yield platform, but imagine if the yield that you realize is way different from the yield that is advertised on the platform, or the gas fees in creating that vault account or something, right? It's way different from what was advertised or stated in the platform, right? Immediately breach user trust. People are not going to use it. They'll be like, you guys are scammers. You guys are, it's very ugly. Number 3 is reliability. So the app works consistently. This is very, very important, especially to encourage repeated usage, right? So the base level, security, correctness, reliability, these 3 should always be your top priority. Okay. Layer 2, user experience. You have recoverability, where users know what to do when things fail. So these are things like FAQs, your documentation, some kind of error messages in terms of like tools. This could be tooltips, but have a very clear understanding, and I guess have like a focus group of users where you have this ongoing conversation, right? So they can always tell you when not just when bugs happen, but how do you like to be informed of those, or what to do. Number 5 is comprehension. So users must understand what they are doing. This is usually This is actually a broader way of talking about UI UX, right? Which is effectively comprehension. A UI UX is intuitive if the users know what they're doing and know intuitively what should happen when they do this action, right? Then number 6 is responsiveness, so that your app must feel fast and controlled, right? So layer 2 is the whole user experience. Layer 3 is scale, so things like observability. The team can see what is breaking in ideally real time, and maintainability, where the product can survive growth. Yeah. So again, these are the 3 layers to think about it. In terms of so all these lead up to your trust. So to quickly audit that, I guess after the stream, or take a screenshot of this and do an internal discussion with your team and try and look at it from these 7 factors. And I guess, grade it based on 1 to 5, right? 1 being very unclear, and number 5 is very, very strong, right? So things like security, correctness, reliability, comprehension, support, observability, scalability. Exercises like this are only as useful as honest as you can be, right? So have that conversation with your team and make sure that all these are solid, and obviously try and tackle the weaker ones as a priority. Last but not least, we have the Solana Founder Resource Map. So where to basically find ecosystem support, whether it's funding, whether it's media, whether it's communities, whether it's analytics, basically anything. The resource stack, yes. So in terms of number 1, capital, you need to know where all the grants, hackathons, accelerators, angels, VCs, and ecosystem funds are. As I mentioned at the start of the call, very, very excited to share that we have now created a tool, basically a category of tools called Founder Resources. There are more coming along the way. But yes, founder programs, this tool itself, it shows you all the different incubators, accelerators, growth programs, and residencies. So residencies would be like Island DAO, your Mountain DAO, your startup villages, things like this. Yeah. So this one is updated once a week, so you can explore all the different programs that are available here. One is grants. So this one, is usually Solana Foundation as well as Super Team. So for those of you listening to the call, if you are a Super Team Vietnam member, please definitely reach out to the team, and they'll share a lot more details about how you can apply this. We've applied before. It's super seamless. It's super easy. So don't feel, I mean, if you think you have a good idea, if you think your project or your tool or whatever you're designing is worth supporting, give it a shot. I mean, the worst they can say is no, right? So just go for it. The last one is media platforms. So this one is quite interesting. Most people know of a few media platforms like Solana Floor or Solana Ecosystem Call. I think Super Team does a few things as well. But actually, we do track I think 30 plus media platforms in the space, ranging from live streams to like podcasts to Twitter Spaces. So these are very, very good tool to check out. All the Twitter are here. Most of them have DMs open. So yeah, feel free to go through this list, and whenever you are preparing for a launch, this will be a very good place to kind of get in touch with and check if they are able to do like a deep dive or feature. Even if you're not doing a launch as well, you should reach out to them and try and build long-term relationships with them. I know most of these guys actually, and they're all they're all happy to support genuine Solana projects and founders. So go ahead. On Kaizen's side, we actually have a very big focus on ASEAN and new projects. So especially if Super Team Vietnam or Malaysia or Thailand or Indonesia or Singapore tell us about up and coming projects that they will think that should be are gaining traction and think that should be supported, we are always very happy. We usually do our Asian streams during every Tuesday to Thursday, 3 p.m. Singapore time. So if you're an Asia-based project, do feel free to reach out. We also have a night show. This one is not as consistent, but usually it's targeted at 11 p.m. Singapore time, Tuesday to Thursdays. Yeah. And another one that's coming up that I'm happy to share is a VC directory. So I've been creating the data for a lot of, basically every investment, every VC deal on Solana. That is public information. And coming up with a very informative VC directory specifically for Solana. Right. So this will be a very, very clean list. I know there are other VC lists out there, but this one will be free. This one will be updated regularly, and this one will be Solana specific, because I think the biggest, one of the biggest factors when you look at VCs, when you start screening VCs, is how many deals that this specific VC has invested in Solana projects. If it's only one, then maybe they don't have that high conviction in Solana. Because if a VC has high conviction in Solana, that's literally half the battle won, right? And then from the VC can also see what sectors they invest in, right? So you wouldn't want to be trying to like shield a NFT project to the VC that's only looking at infrastructure, for example. So the VC directive should come up soon. And then we also have some other tools in the pipeline that are focused on exactly targeting. I mean, I can't review too much because we can't really commit to a lot of them, but we have plans for tools that will try and I won't say fix, but alleviate a lot of the burden on founders today of all the research and all the legwork they have to do. So we want to, since we already track all this stuff, we want to kind of like release this tool so that it's so easy, it's all in one place. So keep a lookout for them. So that covers distribution as well, where we actually show you all the live streams and podcasts and blah blah. And things like product, like tools that you can use. We actually do have a tools directory, but unfortunately I haven't updated it in a long while. It currently is focused on the NFT space, although it does have some infrastructure stuff. So feel free to check it out. Yeah. And then security and trust, basically you should find out early on already, like, who are the top, I guess, security audit firms like Sec3 or AutoSec or, Cantina or those Hellborn. In terms of users, if you know who are the power users of your competitors or I guess a lot of the more notable people, always feel free to keep a list and then try and build relationships with them. A lot of them will actually be quite happy to try out your closed beta. Just something interesting, exciting that they can give it a try and give you feedback on. Solana communities, honestly, a lot of us are very happy to help new projects and founders. Yeah. And then obviously last one is support, who are the common advisors, strategic partners, communities like Monkey DAO or Super Team in the space. So highly recommend you to come up with your own private list for these things. What Kaizen can do is create like overall directories, but it's up to you to kind of filter them down further specifically on what's relevant to you, right? So even for like our media platforms, we also try our best to identify are there specific focuses that each of these media partners have, right? So yeah. Like if you're not a partner of Meteor ecosystem, then maybe they won't take you. I'm not sure. If you are not a payments protocol, then no point talking to Amira. Things like this, right? Yes. So build your founder resource system. So pretty much whatever was here. And the final founder checklist. So this is probably one of the last slides on the workshop. So this screenshot it, please, and if you guys do go do it, do let me know. I'll love to take a look at it. But basically, the checklist is clarity. Is your product, are you able to explain it in 10 seconds? And is the user able to understand it in 10 seconds, right? It's both ways. And do you know who your first users are, right? These are the people that you really want to build a relationship with, and they can be champions for you, right? For launch, do you have a very clear launch sequence and strategy? And are your incentives aligned with real behavior? These two are the top two, I guess, issues that founders don't put enough effort in. Yeah. For trust, are users safe? Can the app be trusted? These two are very generic questions, but there's really a lot under the hood. And it comes with founder experience as well to know exactly how you can determine, right, whether the user is safe and whether your app can be trusted. So yeah, it's something that you need to, unfortunately, you need to spend a lot of time to get it right. Yeah. In terms of sustainability, you need to know what milestone you're funding. In fact, you need to know exactly what stage of the project cycle you are in. How are you measuring real traction, real engagement, real outcomes, your KPIs, your value metrics? Have you shown execution credibility, and do you know where to get help as well? So Kaizen's always happy to help you, but I think your super team, your respective super teams as well, are a very good resource, and other founder communities that you are part of will also be a very strong partners moving forward. Yeah. So the next 7 days, basically do these 5 things. Number 1, rewrite your 10-second pitch. If you want, you can DM us. Happy to give you a short reply. Number two, map out your launch arc if you haven't launched yet. Number three, identify your weakest trust layer. Number four, build your founder resource list. So all those stuff that we mentioned earlier. And number five, try and share one public progress update. Yeah. So these are five. I think the first one is the easiest, and the rest are slightly more challenging. But try your best to spend the next 7 days just doing this before you do anything else. Is my suggestion. So takeaway is the best Solana founders do not just build products, and you build all of these things here that we have gone through repeatedly through the workshop. Build the product, but also build the system around the product. And how Kaizen can help you, we are a public good project, so we don't accept money to do any shilling or marketing, or you can't pay us to be on a live stream. You have a chat with us. You can DM me or Kaizen personally. Share a blurb about I guess what your project is doing. Please don't try to sell stuff, right? We get a lot of messages for like audits and marketing and blah blah blah. DM us, share a blurb. Tell us specifically what you need from us. If you need advice, you want testers, you want to be featured. We in terms of featuring, we do live streams, we do Solana Pulse newsletter, which if you scan this QR code, I really appreciate if you sign up. So we just kicked off a newsletter a couple months back. It's called Solana Pulse newsletter. It's actually the single most is the single easiest way to stay updated on the Solana ecosystem. So just a quick preview. It literally shows you all the latest news and announcements, and this one's very useful for founders because we don't just tell you what launch and blah blah blah. We try and cover new events that are coming up, new grants, new hackathons, new VC fundraisers, new security breaches, new tools, features that can be very useful to you. So subscribe to this newsletter. You can see news announcements, so at a glance, DeFi overview, fear and greed index, and all the other key crypto metrics, top tokens today, and top NFTs as well. You can see all the latest yield figures, and I think the most interesting ones is the rewards campaigns and current bounties. Less useful for founders, but for general users, which I think we all are users, this would be very interesting as well. Rewards campaigns. So you can see Phoenix Trade has a freaking huge rewards pool for trading, supported by Solana Foundations, by Frontier Trade. Yeah. And then Solana Seeker Summer is going on as well. So that's how we kind of help promote projects that we think are interesting and deserve some mentioning. Is our our Kaizen live streams as well as our Solana Pulse newsletter. All we ask from you is if you could follow Kaizen's Twitter as well as my personal Twitter, OmiOmai, and subscribe to Solana Pulse, then that will be much appreciated. I think that's it.
Wow, it was such a effective section though. You have covered so much. How good?
Yeah, honestly, there's so much more, right? So this is the second time we're doing this workshop, to be honest, and I would love to kind of break it up into like more like a series, right? Because each of those parts, I think in itself deserves its own 1 hour workshop where it can be a lot more structured. So yeah, I think that the difficulty here was there's just so much to know that founders have to learn and founders have to be aware of. It was very difficult to kind of ensure that I covered what I felt personally was the most important thing. So it might be a bit unstructured, but I hope you guys managed to screenshot some of these things. If not, there is a recording as well. But yeah, what do you think?
I think it's a very good start section. It's like you try to cover like a flow for founder, like what they need to do when they want to build on Solana ecosystem, right? And I think maybe for the next time when we have a chance, we can have you to join to break down the series more details on different topics, because I've checked Kaizen, your platform is, I feel like it's like a resource aggregator platform of Solana ecosystem. Like you try to cover everything, not just news. But it's very easy to like understand what Solana is happening in the space, and it's not just for founders, but I think for users as well.
I think if I'm not wrong, we have a multi-language functionality here as well, where you can translate it to like even Vietnamese. For
Oh,
most of the
that's so
platform.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. We actually spend some like to us, like I think the non-English countries are where a lot of the residual growth potential is in the world. So we actually wanted to make it like translatable to the. So we actually created I think 26 languages, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that we wanted to ensure would make everything on Solana a lot more accessible language wise. Yeah. So even our Kaizen Academy as well, all our courses are automatically translated. I actually wrote 60 plus of these courses with the help of my interns. We actually created 60 over courses on Solana and the protocols and all the opportunities. So if you're new to Solana, feel free to check it out as well. Yeah, in whatever language that you speak.
This is so dope. I didn't know like you guys have different languages.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this is great for Vietnamese builders. If you guys want to learn some, a Solana Playbook all-in-one edition of Kaizen.io, you guys can just come to his website and check it out. There
Yep.
is the full course that you guys can learn and can recheck and can explore all the products as well. Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for joining Super Team Vietnam today for the workshop, and I really hope that we can have another chance to help you to join with us with Vietnamese community builders, so we can exchange ideas and learn from each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's also one more thing of one more activities that I want to re-promote for our communities, that like we're also running the bounties program. And if you guys haven't checked it out, or if you guys have any ideas like Web2 ideas, or just curious about just bring anything on chain, especially on Solana, you guys can check it out and submit your idea on superteam.fund/earn. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And I will see you guys at the next one. And thank you, Omi Omai, again. I
Thank
really
you.
hope you have a great time here with us today. Thank you.
100%. Thank you. See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.